Ladies and gentlemen, you know I don't put a pretty face on things unless it's a pretty face. And Comey just self-destructed in front of the world. Comey just melted down, and the media is trying to change the subject to Marco Rubio's hair, or, oh, the Russian investigation goes on. This adds weight to it. He said that he's the leaker and that the New York Times and others got it wrong, what was even in the memo. So he commits a crime because he didn't bring it to his superiors. He's deeply troubled. He admits that. He doesn't bring it to them. He testifies on May 3rd, 2 months later, after the meeting, that no one's tried to influence him. Senator Burr asked him again, did Trump try to ever influence you? He said, no, he didn't do that. He didn't try to order me. It's unbelievable. Their entire case, again, completely and totally implodes. Then they add all these cherries on tops where he says, I'm cowardly. I hid out. He goes on to say that the New York Times Russia collusion story was wrong in the main. That's a quote. He goes on to say Llorette Lynch ordered him to not call it an investigation of the email server of Hillary Clinton. And then he kills the investigation. And when it comes out she's colluding with Clinton, he then reopens it for a couple of days to look strong and then admits that's why he did that. So we have him passing classified info to his friends. We have him admitting that he was never ordered by Trump to stop. It's amazing. I'm going to play all these clips. It's coming up. Live coverage right now on this Thursday edition. But wow, I am really surprised Comey went and even testified because he looked weak. He contradicted himself. He floundered. And he then had to confirm everything Trump said. He was never under investigation. And he never told him, drop the investigation. He said, gee, I hope you can see it clear to do this. Now, Gavin McInnes is the founder of Vice News, everybody knows. He's syndicated radio and TV host, English-born writer and comedian. And, of course, compoundmedia.com, Twitter, @Gavin_McInnes. We really appreciate him joining us to talk about all the things that are going on. I haven't talked to him previous to him coming on. We just get him on every few weeks. He's gracious enough to come on. But obviously, I want to get his take on did he watch the hearings and what does he think of the hearings and does he agree with me on what just happened? I don't know how the media, how the horror media, how the dinosaur media puts Humpty Dumpty back together again, because this to me was a bloodbath. Even though they were trying to prop him up, they ended up ending it about 20 minutes early and looked like, you know, rats running out of an aqueduct. Gavin McInnes, what do you think?
I think it's amazing how the left keeps putting all their eggs into one basket, and then that basket turns out to have a hole in the bottom. And instead of going, uh-oh, I guess I'm wrong, they just move their eggs to the next basket. Like they pin all their hopes on some giant myth, and then when it doesn't work out, they never scratch their head like a scientist would and go, maybe I'm wrong on this crusade. They just keep going, all right, well, let's put them all over here now. And they're unflappable. Like, it's sort of like, you know, these cults where they say the world is going to end on August 12th, 2016, and then it doesn't end, and you go, well, that's the end of that cult. No, they just move the date up. So I don't think they're going to be that thwarted by all this evidence that the James Comey smoking gun isn't the James Comey smoking gun they wanted it to be.
I agree with you, and they are a cult, and sociologists are now admitting that worldwide. Socialist collectivists, they see North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba, everywhere else. Europe creates a nightmare. Then they just double down on more Islamists coming in. And, oh, the answer is have feminists wear hijabs. We were joking just 6 months ago that feminists were starting to get into Islam. Now USA Today says that's the new thing to do if you're a feminist. And, I mean, aren't they in danger, though, of becoming so insane in their own cult that it drives more moderate people back to reality?
Yeah, well, you know what the funny thing about it is? What they end up doing is pushing people to the right, just out of spite. And another thing they're doing is politicizing people who normally wouldn't be political. So they're screaming about Nazis and Comey and Trump and Russia, and eventually people start going, I'm going to check to see what you're screaming about. Oh, you're wrong. So they're accidentally creating an army against them. They are so annoying that they are getting people involved in politics. So it ends up being great for us.
Well, when I was first telling people at the inauguration that I saw thousands of women having hijabs handed out to them, American flag hijabs, I said it live on air. people couldn't believe it, even though they were seeing it. And then I went on radio the next day when I got back to Austin on Sunday, and listeners didn't believe it. And then I pulled up news articles where it admitted that George Soros spent $200 and something million just on those marches nationwide, and that it was actually an Islamic group running it nationwide with this lady we all know about that says mutilate women's genitals and jihad is good, running the women's marches. I mean, in what fruitcake fantasy land are the major feminist marches run by women in hijabs?
It's even crazier than that. She advocates for Sharia law. She's wearing a hijab. That means that she's pro-life. By definition, you can't wear that and be pro-choice. Yet, pro-life women were banned from coming on the march. They also have this black woman there, I forget her name, she, Donna Hilton or something. She murdered a gay man by sodomizing him to death. She's up there talking in front of LGBT people. And you watch this and you go, you know what this is? This is a microcosm of what society would be like if I handed you the keys to the city. And it would be a complete catastrophe.
Oh, that's another great point. I forgot at the same march up there on D.C., it was like the Legion of Doom. This woman wants Sharia law and sexual mutilation. This woman raped a man to death with a broomstick and beat him to death and was convicted. And I remember reading that. I'm like, what? And it's all these gay people going, yay, we love you. Oh, it's so wonderful. Kill Donald Trump. Ah!
It's fascinating because they call you and me Nazis, and we go, no, we're not. And they go, you're homophobic, you're a fascist, you want women to be second-class citizens. And you go, not only are you wrong about that accusation, but everything you just said applies to the two women sitting right next to you that are running your movement. I have to take control here. We need the patriarchy because it's better for you. The left is less oppressed if we don't let them run the show because they are saboteurs.
Why do they run, and then we'll get back to the hearings with Gavin McInnes joining us here. Why do they run, though, to the most oppressive, weird thing? I guess just like toddlers throwing a fit, you know, riding on the wall with their own crap?
It's the most violent. I remember, I think it was in World War II, we found this crazy tribe of little midgets in India who were particularly sadistic, and they were incredible fighters. And they didn't really have an allegiance to Britain, but Britain used them. I forget the name of them. They've got a funny little name, and they're like 5 feet tall, and they were incredible warriors. And we used them to colonize India and all over the world. It was a very effective team. In fact, they're fighting for veterans' rights now as Brits. But anyway, the reason that Britain chose them is because they're just ruthless. And I think the left is choosing radical Islam, not because they agree with them philosophically, but because they're very effective, violent human beings. They are great henchmen because they have no morals and are happy to stab a woman. We just saw what they do to children in Manchester. So the left is so immoral. They're so sadistic that they go, I know we don't trust these guys, but let's just use them anyway to blow up the world because that's all we want is sabotage.
Well said. Gavin McInnes is our guest to balance the hour. We're going to open the phones up here in about 20 minutes, but I want to play some more of these clips for everybody. Let's play this one because there's so many here. Comey says that he was weak, cowardly, and afraid to speak his mind. So his excuse for not going to the Justice Department when he thought something had been done wrong was to write a memo and then leak it to the press, but then admit that the president didn't do anything illegal and didn't order him to. So what's happening here is I'm a Democrat appointee. I'm an operative. I've been caught. The Republicans are in power. I'm scared. Just leave me alone. I'm a possum. I'm playing dead. But the truth is he didn't play dead. He went and made up this memo, then perjured himself to Congress 2 months ago, saying nobody tried to influence him. And now on the hot seat again, he's saying no one did order him. So here's the clip of Comey saying he's a yellow belly.
In ancient times, man roamed the earth in a constant state of hunting or being hunted. Introducing Caveman, where cutting-edge science meets ancient super nutrients. Secure your bottle right now at InfoWarsStore.com.